morning class. I'm videoing on Saturday morning, April 18th, and this is lesson number 13. After doing 12 of these, I think that I'm getting a little more used to this format, but I can't say that I'm comfortable really all the way yet, but hopefully I'm doing a little bit better, and I appreciate your patience so very much. If you are keeping track of lessons relative to class dates, then 13, this lesson, and 14 and 15 will be relative to Tuesday, April 21st. Hopefully before this semester ends, we will be able to have class together a couple of times. So keep our fingers crossed about that. Would be so wonderful to see you. I want to sort of wrap up today our discussions about Susan B. Anthony, learning about her life. I hope that you've had a chance to do the reading and hopefully to see the video. If you wish to do the comprehension work, that's fine. It's certainly not a requirement, but you might find it kind of fun to do that. I was particularly glad to be able to find a video that I felt would be one that you would be comfortable watching. The narrator, I think, spoke at such a nice pace, and he had such a pleasant tone, and so I hope that listening was comfortable. And I think that it was great that we have. It is great that we have the old video footage from the early 1900s to see what these women were doing and what their gatherings look like, and the marches and so forth. And I know you enjoyed seeing the fashion of the day. Pretty remarkable, right? Can you imagine wearing all of those clothes all of the time? I think if I had been living then, I would have to have maybe been an advocate for less clothing, because that was brutal, I think, to have to put on all those layers. So just a few kind of closing remarks. First of all, the United States was the 9th state to allow women the right to vote. The 9th state, I'm so sorry, the 9th country to allow that. The first country that granted the right to women to vote was New Zealand, and that was in 1893. Following New Zealand came Australia, and that was, I think, 1902. And then the country of Finland, 1906, followed by Norway a few years later, and Denmark in around 1915. So a span of years there where countries slowly began to make this possible. And then shortly before the United States made this decision, Canada in 1917 granted women the right to vote. We know that in the United States that right became official through what is called the 19th Amendment. Amendment is a change, an addition to our Constitution. So once that happens, it is then forever in place, hopefully by all future leaders of our country and and our government as a whole will always be observed and never questioned. So the 19th Amendment is a very important amendment in our country. I would be so curious and would love to hear from you sometime. Perhaps we'll have a conversation later, but I would love to know if there are people from your cultural background, whether we're talking women's rights or rights of other groups of people within your countries of origin. But people who did similarly to Susan B. Anthony in what we call blazing a trail. Blazing a trail is an expression for making a way, being among the first or the first to actually make this way possible for others. So who are the trailblazers in your particular cultural background? Who are the people that you and your children and all the school children and so forth, who do you study and learn about, and who do you appreciate today for what they contributed? Is there someone who would be similar to Susan B. Anthony? And we'll study other people who also made great contributions to our society. I would like to close the Susan B. Anthony study with looking at two quotes that that are attributed to her, and also to say that if you again want to learn more, Googling quotes by Susan B. Anthony is quite fascinating. There are dozens and dozens of them, so choosing two is not the easiest thing in the world. But I chose a couple that I think are very much worth reading and thinking about. So let me just tilt this a bit. The first one, the true republic. Republic meaning society with government, okay? The true republic, and you see that she included the colon here, okay? The colon, remember, always tells us that, oh, something is going to follow, okay? So she sort of introduces the true republic, colon, men, their rights, and nothing more. And we could say nothing more than that if we were adding that in our mind. It's not her words, but men and their rights and nothing more than that, okay? Women, their rights, and nothing less than that. So here she's just saying that, you know, we're happy for men to have the rights that they have, but, you know, they don't need more than that. They've got it. They've got what they need. Women need their rights and nothing less. They need the same as men. Okay? So this is a very famous quote for you to know about. The next one, there shall never be another season of silence until women have the same rights men have on this green earth. Again, the word "that" comes into my mind here, and you saw me pause, that men have, but she doesn't include it in the quote, so, but sometimes it helps us understand better. So, there shall never be another season of silence until women have the same rights that men have on this green earth. Okay? I love the phrase season of silence here. I love that because I think it's very figurative, okay? Figurative language makes writing more interesting and lets us have sort of a way of envisioning better. And so the season of silence that she's referring to would be all of those years where women remained quiet about this issue, where women simply accepted that this was the way it is, you know, the way it was, excuse me, that men were superior and men were going to be able to do certain things and women would not be able to do them. That season of silence, she is making a very strong point that that's over with. That's done. We're not going to be silent anymore about the things that matter. So whether it's voting rights or other sorts of privileges and rights, then, we are going to be a voice for that. So the season of silence is over, and we owe a great debt of gratitude to Susan B. Anthony here in this country for her contributions. Okay, time to switch gears. And I would like for you, if you don't have your videos in the classroom essay, if you pause and get that, you'll need it for this next section. And I'm going to clear the board, as I might need it along the way. So, here it is. All right. So we have talked about a number of things related to writing essays, and we've discussed organization. We've discussed, what elements need to be included in the various parts of the essay, and we particularly looked at an essay that has 5 paragraphs: introduction, and then paragraph 1, 2, and 3, and conclusion, or some people simply say paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's however you want to think about that is fine. So we looked at our videos in the classroom essay that I shared with you. I shared it with you because I felt that it was a good essay for us to use as a model, not because it's a perfect essay, because it's not a perfect essay, but because I felt it had good elements for us to be able then to really look closely and discuss. This work that we're doing together, I think, will be valuable to you also as you work with those of you who have children and they're in upper elementary, middle, and beyond when those years come, or if you are writing essays for for work or any kind of writing. I think these lessons will be applicable. They will apply to your life as you move along. So today what we're going to do is we are going to look really closely at the essay that this student wrote, and we're going to look at it through the eyes of revising. Okay, so we looked at it as, okay, this is the essay as it's written, and I think I gave pretty fair number of points to each paragraph, and we said, well, they did pretty well here. It's a pretty good essay, but today we're going to look at revising it. So I have sent you a document that shows the essay with revision, with revisions that I think would enhance the essay. Okay, they are suggestions. If I were working with the person who wrote this, they would be suggestions. I would have a conversation with that student, and I would say, here's something you could have said here, or here's what you could have said a little bit differently. So we're going to look at it through the eyes of the revisionist. Okay, revision means to visualize something again. Okay, RE always means again. So we're going to just kind of look again at it. Okay, and the document that I sent you then shows in red and with some comments off to the side, it shows revision. So let's just look at the introductory paragraph, which I told you I thought was a really good introductory paragraph. I think it hooks the reader, and I think it does a good job of letting us know, what the topic is going to be. So there really were not problems there to me in my eyes. I did, however, make some revision suggestions, and the suggestions that I made are mostly about perhaps making the little anecdote that the writer tells just a little clearer. I felt like the anecdote could be just a little more clear. So listen to, I'm going to start partway through the paragraph. I'm going to start at luckily, where he says, luckily you catch it, meaning the phone. Okay, I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to read through, and you can follow with the changes that I made. Luckily, you catch it without your teacher seeing, but it is in plain view of the video camera's shiny lens that points straight at you. The classroom phone rings, and after a brief conversation, your teacher walks over to your desk and kneels down beside you. My addition here. You think to yourself, oh, great, that was the office calling. About that cell phone of yours. And then I added, the teacher begins. Okay, she begins to have this conversation about that cell phone of yours. Thanks to the camera, your cell phone, which should have been in your locker, got you in trouble. Okay, so that was an additional sentence there that I felt would just really specify that that cell phone, which actually wasn't supposed to be in the classroom at that time, got you in trouble. I deleted the sentence with the question that said, how did that get you in trouble? I thought that sentence was that question was a little awkward. I just deleted it. And then I wrapped the introductory paragraph up with the question that the writer had used initially. How could it possibly be a good idea to put cameras in the classroom? So I left that there. Remember that last question that he or she has asked here is really also their topic, the introduction of their topic. They are saying that they are writing this essay to argue against cameras in the classroom, but they're saying it in a kind of a clever way through that question. All right. You may or may not think that those changes are needed or are helpful. That's just kind of my thinking there. All right, when I'm going to pause and come back, and when I come back, we'll look at then the first paragraph in the body of the essay.